Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. Totally.
Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, kids and cadets, to another riveting edition of Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. My name is Brandon Scott Ellis, Hebrew name Shmuel Melech, and I have a very special co-host by the name of Scott. Scott, please state your name, even though I already stated it just now.
Hello, everybody. I am Scott Honickman, and I'm happy to be here on Nonsense News Nation with Brandon. I'm jumping out of my seat. I'm jumping for joy.
And why are you jumping for joy?
Because, if you'll let me introduce her, that'd be very great. We have a very, very, very special guest, our ex-co-host from our previous show, Damage Report at Old Westbury. We have Sarah DeMauro. Sarah, please say hello.
Hey, how you doing? I'm
doing
Sarah.
Amazing.
Sarah, it's great to see you, but Scott, why did you invite our ex onto the show? This is just awkward.
Well, Brandon, because she is so lovely, that's why.
In all seriousness, Sarah, we missed you a ton. We hope you're doing well. We hope we can give you a damn good show that goes for everyone else listening too.
I missed you guys too.
And
It's
Sarah,
been a long time.
you've been a co-host with us for a bit, so you know the shtick. What is the shtick of our show and what we do here?
So we usually have a couple segments, and then we do a little introduction. We'll have world news, local news, and then news across national news, and then there's like a completely wacky story.
All right, we're not gonna beat around the bush. This is a show that is completely about news. You got the word news correctly, and it's about nonsensical news. So I have two stories. Scott has two stories. I'm gonna start first because ladies first, and objectively, if you've seen me, I'm more ladylike than Scott. So we will continue, and I will tell you my stories. Now, Sarah. Now, Scott, you're very well aware of the COVID situation. You guys know what COVID is? You know
Never heard.
Yes.
what Corona Light is? Corona Extra? That's what's infecting everyone right now.
Oh,
Corona
really?
beer?
Corona beer is in the air, and some people are under the age of 21, and that's just illegal, and that's why it's a pandemic. How do you prevent getting this? What is the safest alternative that has been prescribed by doctors and Fauci and all these professional people? What do they say you should do if you're out in public?
Well, they're saying you should run into a large crowd of people screaming and flailing your arms.
Also, make sure you spit on them.
But they say make sure you're in a public crowd flailing your arms, but you need to be wearing a mask when you do it. So the key thing to take away is wear a mask. And what do you guys think? You think it's a fairly safe thing? It's a very smart thing when you have something of this degree, a virus that is affecting us globally? You think that's rational? No,
I definitely do.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who isn't doing such a simple thing should be really insulted.
Yeah, well, apparently, Scott, there are people who are completely against the masks. Not necessarily because it's against their health or whatever. Some people are like that. But they're upset because it's against their freedom. They should have the right, the choice to wear a mask or not. And because the government says you got to wear a mask, or businesses are saying you need to wear a mask before you go in, it's going against that American red-blooded spirit. Some people
I don't see
think
how.
I don't see how
guess
either.
so.
It's not really affecting them. It's for other people.
they think
They
that
don't
this is
understand.
Soviet Russia because they have to wear masks and literally protect lives. So
It's not like they're wearing a label on that says, this is what I am.
They're
They're wearing a mask to protect other people.
fair, but they're doing a little bit of a protest, and this is amongst one of the great protests. When I think of great protests, I'll think of Gandhi's Salt March from the 1930, or Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington in 1963, or Tiananmen Square, Black Lives Matter, and now, of course, we have a new powerful movement of the mesh mask. Do you know what that is?
I've never heard of that.
Neither have I.
A mesh mask is a mask, so it's a full mask, and it covers the mouth, it covers the nose, like the regulations want you to do, but here's the big but. It doesn't protect against the virus at all. It looks like fishnet stockings for the most part around your mouth and nose.
That's so stupid.
It's pretty much like
That's
see-through.
silly.
It's insane. It's just made. Businesses make these things as a way to protest, because there is a crowd. If you go to the United States and you have people that really want to protect their freedom, and businesses know that, and they're making their money.
That makes me so
even though
frustrated.
they're asking people to wear a mask, they're also supplying them with like these masks that don't do anything.
Yeah. So they had the option to have this. And I have a quote from a Florida man, because of course it's a Florida man. And this is what he had to say.
Florida.
I wore a mask that is designed for protecting your face in a paintball battle. You can easily breathe through it. I walked all around the store, talked to employees and other shoppers, and every one of them could see my mouth. It was almost like not wearing a mask at all. Nobody cared. Well, that's because it's not about safety. It's all about compliance. You see the word compliance, he just throws that in because he doesn't want to be told what to do. Because he's such an American that he feels that he needs to have the right. In my humble opinion here, this is just my opinion, don't take it as fact. If you're a true American and you love your country, don't you want to get rid of a pandemic that is killing thousands of people in said country?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Brandon, you're 100% wrong. My freedom supersedes your right to safety, and I don't care about you at all. And oh no, what happened to my voice? Why do I sound like this?
Oh, is it the coronavirus? It makes my voice sound like this? Y'all?
Seems like it.
Anyway, these mesh masks, they're made of course, mesh, whatever
Mush
that is.
mouth?
So are they basically like pantyhose but for your face?
They're what?
That's what it sounds like.
Are they pantyhose but for your face?
Kind of, yeah. It's made of yarn or lace. It's becoming very popular online. It's the new hot topic, even more so than Hot Topic, because Hot Topic is closed right now, so we gotta have a new Hot Topic.
This is the best thing about this pandemic.
Guys, it actually includes an explicit warning saying, quote, are not intended for protection or COVID use. It says that outright.
Wow.
And
And
there's some
people
companies,
still buy it.
right? There's some companies that advertise this as an anti-mask, as a way to not be protected and make some sort of powerful statement. These masks are incredibly thin and they're barely not masks, but it's kind of funny how, like, the whole thing is they don't want to wear a mask, but although it's not really working, it still is a mask.
Yeah, it's kind of
It
ironic.
looks stupider than a real mask, too.
It's stupid that they're anti-mask and they're wearing a mask that looks more stupid than a real mask.
Brandon,
That's so
can you tell me-
stupid.
Is there any way you can tell me how well these things have sold? Or how many?
I just know that it's quite popular, and they're definitely, unfortunately, in America, there's a big crowd of people who's anti-mask. And
I have yet to see one of those masks, actually. Well, that's probably because we're in New York.
it's so
Sarah,
stupid.
do you ever have to kick people out of your store that you work at because they're not wearing a mask?
Yeah, all the time. Or they
they're-
usually buy a mask or they leave, or they go
Now
running
you
out
know-
to get their mask.
You know to look out for mesh masks now.
Yeah, mush
This
mouth.
one man pissed me off yesterday, so like he made me like see red because he grabbed a handkerchief that we sold, covered his face with it, walked around the store. We figured he'd buy it. He threw it on the counter and said he didn't want it.
When his germs
what?
are on that,
You're
that's
breathing
terrible.
in it.
Exactly.
You're breathing in it.
Are you
That's-
kidding me?
I'm one of the managers there, and if I like knew that about, if I was like bringing him up, I would have made him pay for that, or I would have charged him more money on purpose because that's just not right. Someone
All I'm
could
going
have
to
used
say,
that.
I don't have a solution for this, but I just know Seth MacFarlane brought back Grind Your Gears on Family Guy. Maybe we could really get to the bottom of this, and Peter Griffin can really offer some serious truth about this pandemic. And not the real pandemic. There's a new pandemic, and it's just stupid people. I don't know if that's a virus, but a lot of people are infected by it. And I sure as heck don't want it.
I mean, on the bright side, a lot of people now are baking and gardening. Like gardening and baking have gone up like 100%.
That's great and
their
all, but
minds are
they should be
baking.
wearing a mask too. They're getting baked. That
Anyway,
seems like
I'm a bit riled up right now. That's my story. Scott, could you cheer me up with maybe a nicer story right now? Because I'm losing it, and Sarah could see that.
I have great news for you, Brandon. I can cheer you up with my next story. In stark contrast to your story, my story is very funny and not heartwarming, but it's very comical.
Okay.
So I know you're frustrated right now, as am I. So let me tell you about my story. So Shark Week is coming up very soon on the Discovery Channel. Everyone knows what Shark Week is.
Are they going to edit masks on the sharks now?
As part of Shark Week, they're going to have an episode where Mike Tyson, the once professional boxer, is going to be fist fighting a shark in a cage. Which sounds horrible, I know, but I'm sure the shark stands a good chance against a human being.
Definitely.
So the 54-year-old apex predator, Mike Tyson, is going to be, like I said, fighting the shark in a segment called Tyson versus Jaws: Rumble on the Reef. In an interview with Mike Tyson, he
I'm
said
gonna
that
kick your tail fin.
the fight is actually not so much a fight as it is a part of like a scientific research program. I don't know
What
that
the
means.
hell?
There's
What's
there
the
apparently
science under it?
I don't
You
really
see
know.
We could fight sharks.
It is not mentioned in this article. Apparently, there are going to be scientists observing the fight, quote unquote, and on August 9th, this will take place, and we have to see what's going to happen exactly.
You have to watch it.
We're gonna have to do the unthinkable and have PETA sponsor us because
PETA?
Yeah. No, honestly, isn't that clear animal abuse?
I think
Well,
so. Yeah.
Very,
it says fight
because
but I
there's a
don't think it's actually
scientist.
gonna fight.
Because scientists are like observing it. It's okay automatically.
I think he's going to fight a shark that's also a heavyweight boxing champion.
Then that would be fair if the shark
That would
agrees
be
to it.
fair.
The shark
And the
consents.
shark's okay.
As
But
long as
sharks are
he
not
doesn't be like
dolphins. They're not that
Jabba Jaws, or
smart.
he
They
wears,
can't
like-
consent.
I'll
They
never
also
forget.
need to constantly keep swimming because if they swim backwards, they drown.
You
with their
can't
own
get.
gills.
You can't swim when you get
Shark can't
punched
act,
out by
bro.
Mike Tyson. He's gonna make
So
a
maybe
shark
like the
drown.
shark bumps him. Yeah,
The shark
and that
stands
Mike Tyson just kicks the shark in the face, and then Mike Tyson loses his leg or something
Honestly,
like that. I
if
don't know.
Mike Tyson got ripped to shred by the shark, I'd feel better rather than the shark getting punched in the schnauzer.
We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. I don't think it's going to be it's going to be a quote unquote fight. It's not going to be a brutal murder of a shark on live TV.
It's gonna be like Batman versus Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. And he's gonna break the shark's back.
They better be monitoring it strictly because I feel like there's so many ways that could go wrong. And is it gonna? What type of shark is it? Is it like a
You were
nurse shark?
you were born in the waters. I was raised in it. And he breaks the shark's back.
It's going to be like when Wilson Fisk broke in the last episode of Daredevil. He broke that guy's
Bullseye's
back. I forget
back.
his name. Bullseye's back. Yeah,
That's awesome.
slams him into the pillar.
It's gonna be awful. It's like Thanos versus the Avengers. It's gonna be brutal.
Do you think that Mike Tyson has the combined power of all the Avengers in one punch?
Compared to the
Possibly.
shark, yeah.
Mike Tyson's like one punch man.
Don't bring a
How
shark to a
would the
punch
shark
fight.
attack them? Like, would the shark just go chomp, chomp?
I think they're going to be in a cage, and I don't
They're
really.
gonna put a
exactly
muzzle
know.
on that poor shark, and it can't fight back.
I'm very curious how they're going to do this. Because obviously they're not just going to put him in a tank with a shark.
Right. I don't know exactly, but they didn't really specify.
You know what I'm
They
curious
said he's
about?
going to be in a cage. What are you curious about?
My next story.
I'm curious too.
Now,
I'm bi-curious
guys,
for your next story.
you
I'm
better
also
be,
curious.
Scott. Sarah, you better be a little bi-curious yourself, because this story talks about girls. But it's underage girls, so don't get too bi-curious.
Oh, God.
Same for you,
Come
Scott.
on, I'm curious.
Because that wouldn't be cool. Nonsense News Nation is many things, but we don't condone pedophilia.
Face 10, body 10, age thankfully not 10.
It's a Brandon quote, everyone. Anyways, I spoke before about masks and how older people aren't really too into it. What about younger people, like the Gen Zers? Apparently they are very into it because they could use it as an elaborate prank to get some alcohol at a store. You
Ooh, I
see,
heard about that.
when you wear a mask, people can't really see your face as well. So if you look like a 5-year-old when you're wearing a mask, people, you don't know, you could be 5, you could be 30, you could be 100. I don't know, you're wearing a mask. And people take advantage of that. And they go a little bit further. Let me explain a little bit here. So some teenagers, some young girls, they have a fake ID, putting on some special makeup, walking around with a walker and having some elderly feminine clothes to disguise themselves as your grandma so they could purchase alcohol at the latest convenience store. And this has become a TikTok sensation. These girls have been getting millions of views by breaking the law and breaking old lady kind in the process. And
Is
it's
that believable, their
nuts.
makeup?
It's a prank, and apparently it works, Sarah. I got a quote here from a teenager. She says, PSA, use your fakes as much as possible, because if you wear a mask, they can't see your whole face. LOL. Which is kind of true. So
That's so dumb.
I mean, when I go to work, people mistake me for being 16 all the time because they can't see my
and
face.
you're a bloody manager.
Yeah,
Bloody.
exactly.
It's insane. So I'll tell you how far this has gone, and it's gone far. So there's one viral TikToker who wore some makeup, baggy pants, grandma sneakers, a walker, and of course a face mask. And she landed some sweet, sweet adult juice. It worked like a charm. She did her best not to speak as little as possible, so they couldn't tell that she sounds like a stereotypical American teenage girl. Fortunately, she wasn't asked to show ID, because you're not going to ask a grandma.
Yeah.
They don't have much longer to live anyway. Just give them the best life possible. Give them some alcohol. And this flimsy disguise works like a charm, just like Team Rocket in an episode of Pokemon. Do you remember in Pokemon how, because Team Rocket, you have James, who is the guy with blue hair.
Jesse,
who has like red hair, and
red hair
Meowth,
that, like,
who is
has
a
a
talking cat.
trouble,
And-
make it double.
And every single episode of Pokemon, they'll disguise themselves as like maybe Italian restaurant workers or pilots or something, and they'll just put on like mustaches. But it's clearly a guy with blue hair, a girl with red hair, and a talking cat every time, and Ash and friends fall for it. And the funny thing is, I can understand, because every season he gets like a new companions. I get it that they may not know Jesse, James, and Meowth. But what about Ash and Pikachu, who have known these three enemies for like 20 years? And they fall for it every single time!
I mean, he just won his first tournament like maybe 4 or 5 years ago after like 10,
20
15
years too late.
Like,
I don't care about Ash Ketchum anymore. He's a moron for believing that Jesse, James, and Meowth are still his friends. He's got to grow up. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, back to real life and wearing masks. So there's this one teen who got 2 million views and genuinely kind of dressed up and had that look of a Jewish grandma with a shmata and everything, and a flower dress and everything. She got booze for herself just in time for Shabbat. So some of these girls kind of do look it, with enough makeup and stuff, but that first girl literally looked like a teenage girl with a walker, and it works like a charm.
They probably didn't care, is what it was.
Yeah, they're just like, listen, don't give me the coronavirus. Take this corona. LOL. And that's what happened at the store, probably. And I don't know, but it's crazy. Anyway, that's my story. Scott, you got one more. Make it snappy, like that, and give us the story, please.
I'll snappity snap it up, Brandon. We've had some great stories today. I'll end with a great one too. You know what? Keep up the trend. So obviously, these past 6 months have been very frustrating for most people, and thankfully, the country of Iceland, whatever, has found a way to make it so you'll be able to relieve some of your anger, some of your stress.
And how do we do that?
So what the country of Iceland is doing is, they have an Instagram account. And if you record yourself screaming into your phone and you send it to that Instagram account, they'll play it through this gigantic speaker in the middle of like this landscape, and it'll echo throughout the entire
that sounds so
area.
dramatic. I love it.
So the Instagram account, if I can find it real quick, it's called Inspired by Iceland on Instagram, and they have a hashtag called #LetItOutIceland, where if you send them, like I said, your recorded screams through your phone, they'll take them and then they'll play them through this loudspeaker in the middle of the wilderness in Iceland, and everyone in the nearby villages will hear it.
I can imagine the poor animals flipping out. If a deer so much as hears a person whisper, they dart for the hills. Can you imagine constant screams? I feel like every animal would have a heart attack and it would ruin the ecosystem. I feel like there'd be a new pandemic. But you know what? It's a good way to relieve stress.
That's for sure.
That and fighting one of those, what do they call them? I can't think of it right now. The
bear.
Punching bags. Yeah, and fighting a bear too.
Was that such a foreign SAT word?
Wrestling
punching bag?
a bear would definitely, punching
I
bag.
think I would prefer punching a bag than wrestling a bear. I'm not Mike Tyson. I'm not going to abuse animals. It's just not my thing.
Get over here, you bear!
What if it's the bear from your story that you're writing?
We're making a fan fiction about Bear in the Big Blue House in the Game of Thrones world. So
Don't spoil it.
all I'm going to say is it's epic. Is that a spoiler? I hope it is. I hope you're into it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what can we take away from this podcast today? Be sure to wear a real mask and not your mother's stockings. Make sure that if you have a mask and you're 17, to go to the convenience store and land some booze, because you can, and they just fall for it every single time. Make sure to protest Mike Tyson, and make sure he doesn't abuse any more sharks, because that's got to stop. And if you're stressed out because of Mike Tyson, or mesh masks, or underage girls getting booze for TikTok, you could scream, and Iceland will play your scream. And that's the takeaway. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the podcast. I sure didn't. Sarah, thank you so much for being on. We missed you tons. Please come back anytime.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you guys for having me.
And if you want to hear more from us, and I sure hope you do, we're on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Anchor, SoundCloud, and YouTubes. We have a Facebook, a Twitter, and an Instagram. Every now and then we post some funny memes and stuff. And if you want to contact us personally and give us a design for a mask that's better than a mesh mask, because I want to see those, and I want to show those protesters who's boss, you can contact us at nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. That is nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. Once again, I've been Brandon Ellis.
I've been Scott Honigman.
And I'm Sarah Tomorrow.
And this was Totally Nonsense on Nonsense News Nation. We'll see you next time. Peace and love.
Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.